Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we'll give folks just a few more minutes to jump on, and we'll get started right at 1:30. Good afternoon, everyone, and I stand corrected. Good morning for those of you on the West Coast. Thank you so much for joining today's presentation. My name is Andrea Gromberg. I know I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you. I'm head of marketing here at Hoonuit and will be moderating today's webinar. We are delighted to share with you some of what we feel are really transformational enhancements to Hoonuit and our data analytics solution. Before we get started, I do want to do a quick sound and visual check to ensure everyone is connected and can hear us, as well as see the presentation. So as I'm doing the introduction, if you wouldn't mind, please chat in the question window, letting us know that you can see and hear and you're all set. Would appreciate that. So we have a pretty extensive presentation prepared for you today, and would like to field questions throughout using the Q&A tool in GoToWebinar. We may not get all of the questions answered, especially if you have, real technical inquiries or questions specific to your implementation. But what we're going to do is follow up with a Q&A document after today's presentation. That you'll be able to receive via email, as well as obviously your project managers and the services team members that you work with are also prepared to answer any questions regarding today's topics. We will be recording today's webinar, so if you would like to review or share this with a colleague, we will be distributing that in the next day or so. So today's presentation will be led by Shivani Stumpf, our Chief Technology Officer. Shivani joined us last fall and has really transformed our vision for our data analytics solution. I know some of you have met and collaborated with Shivani already, and those who haven't will certainly have the opportunity in the future, as your feedback is really important to help shape the future of these powerful offerings. Shivani has responsibility for all aspects of our product management, our content development, engineering, and our IT operations across Hoonuit's product portfolio to really help educators maximize student success. She comes to us with extensive technology experience, as well as, for those of you who've met her, business acumen, and is really relentlessly committed to meeting your needs as an innovator and as a strong partner to educators. So we're happy to have her, and we're really excited about what she has to share for us today. So with that, I'll pass the presentation over to Shivani.
Great, thank you, Andrea. Good afternoon, and clearly good morning if you're on the West Coast. Thank you all for joining us today. First of all, I want to extend a deep thank you for your partnership. I know several of you have been customers of ours for over 5 to 10 years, and I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you on making possibly the biggest impact that we can on transforming the lives of literally 10 million kids every day. As Andrea mentioned, as the new CTO of Hoonuit responsible for our technology and our product strategy, I could not be more excited to share with you all the work that the team has been doing over the last few months. Before I jump in and talk about some of the enhancements, I would like to share we have made some pretty fundamental changes to our product development process, how we think about technology innovation, and how important it is for us to deliver on our commitments to you. We definitely realize the massive impact that you and your teams are making every day in the classroom, and we want to make sure that we're putting the power of the data in your hands. All right, so before I, like I said, before I actually jump in and talk a little bit more about the specific enhancements that we have made over the last few months, I do want to take a couple of minutes and provide you a frame of reference of how we are approaching solving problems your analytics needs, not only for today, but also way into the future. So hopefully this visual on the screen over here will give us a little bit of a foundation and a frame of reference on how we're going to be moving forward and how you can envision us solving the challenges that you guys face every day. So at a very high level to start, as I think about the fundamental reporting and analytics needs that you guys have, we believe that they fall across into 3 different categories, as you can see on the top over here. So the first category is, all of you, whether you're a state, you're a school, or a district, are required in order to meet the federal and the state accountability requirements. There's a lot of compliance requirements in there. Then there are requirements around student retention and graduation, right? And that's why all of us are here. We want to make sure that we're providing you guys the tools to maximize student achievement. And finally, we want to make sure that all the data-driven processes, the tools, the analytics, the visibility, help to drive student equity and realize financial ROI on the investments that you're making. So of course, this is both from a community standpoint as well as, so you can see where you've spent the money before, which programs you're spending money on right now, and making sure that, they're all driving ROI. So then, if we think about specific initiatives that you guys are solving, and these are only a subset of them. Clearly, you guys have been our customers for a while. We're solving tons of different kinds of problems for each one of you. However, if I were just to point out a small subset or a sliver of initiatives that we're solving, this is how you can think of, how they're bucketed, right? So we're doing everything from providing reporting for really specific state-level initiatives like the ESSA reporting, the Every Student Succeeds Act, and then various types of federal compliance requirements. Along with that comes the need for public portals, right? So it's not only the analytics and the insights and the reporting for your educators, principals, superintendents, but also for parents and the rest of the community. And then we know that every day you guys are working on different types of initiatives, different types of school improvement processes, whether those processes are, obtaining or writing your Title I funding plans, or putting together plans for your technical training, special education, or any sort of school improvement plan, right? We know that you guys need the tools in order to make this a data-driven process so you can capture what those requirements are and then make sure that you're investing appropriately and realizing the results of those investments. So I would classify as that set under meeting federal and state accountability requirements and how we're providing you tools in order to be able to accomplish that. The second set of insights, tools, and reports that we have are around early warning and intervention, right? So making sure that we are helping you identify students who are at risk and providing you the right tools to administer those interventions with fidelity. And we're going to talk about a lot of these today. Second one being social and emotional learning. We know that there's several other signs in addition to lack of attendance and disciplinary outcomes that are impacting or can impact students to persevere and preventing them from dropping out, right? So we want to make sure that we're providing you the tools to be able to capture those effectively. Then we also know that how important early learning is in transforming a student's performance, especially in their later years. And we want to make sure that we're providing you the tools, reports, and insights in order to make that effective. And finally, we want to make sure that every kid gets an equitable education, preparing them for college and career readiness. And we want to make sure that you're able to track that all the way through. And finally, like I said, there are several strategic KPIs that you guys are investing in, several district initiatives, and several programs, right, that we want to make sure you can understand what the financial implications are, in addition to being able to visualize, budget, expenditure, and then per pupil spending as it relates to the SF plan. So this is how we believe the Hoonuit solution suite is going to be able to help you, regardless of where you're at in your progression, of being able to help you solve not only the challenges and the problems that you have today, but hopefully all of the reporting needs, analytics needs, and data-driven processes that you have going into the future. So I know these modules, Essentials, Early Warning, Student Success, and Operations, may be new to some of you. However, each one of you definitely has subsets or fragments, I would say, of each one of these modules. And our goal moving forward is to make sure that we're providing these to you in a consolidated manner, so it's easier from a maintainability standpoint, from a flexibility and extensibility standpoint. And I'll talk about this in a second on the next slide. The other piece I quickly wanted to touch on is, most of your deployments today are on-prem. However, over the last few months, we've heard enormous amount of feedback in terms of either you wanting to move to the cloud, or even questions around, are there potential savings that you can receive as a state, a school, or a district if you moved your infrastructure and your Hoonuit application to the cloud? So I wanted to mention that, of course, we'll be continuing to support all of the on-prem deployments, and all of the new features and enhancements that we're going to talk about today are going to be available to you on-prem. However, if you do have a need or an interest in understanding what it would mean for you to move to the cloud, we're absolutely here to support you, both in terms of educating you on what that move would look like, but even if you want our help or our support in terms of migrating you to the cloud, doing any performance or optimization tuning that would help you scale down resources as you move to the cloud, and even help you manage your infrastructure in the cloud as it relates to the Hoonuit application. We're absolutely here to support you, and we can support you in numerous different formats, as a multi-tenant deployment, as a single-tenant deployment, or if you're a regional office of education and have a number of districts and schools that are a part of your implementation. So we can help you across all of those. And then finally, as I mentioned, a lot of you, because you've been customers of ours for a long period of time, some of you are leveraging, the broader extent of our platform and solution, and some of you, maybe are not. And so just to remind us all that, with our data model, we have the most extensive data model that's out there. So regardless of the type of reporting problem that you're trying to solve, we have every single data domain that is supported. I could not list all 100 data domains. This is just a subset or a sliver. But I'll just call out a few different ones. So we know as a part of the SR requirements, for example, that now, it is for the first time they're asking for military foster homeless students for data to be broken out, by these different facets across various student, racial, and economic subgroups. And so, for example, I don't have those listed over here, but those would be examples of data domains that we absolutely can support. Or, if there is data domains across teacher effectiveness, staff qualifications, budgetary concerns, meeting the per pupil spending requirements as far as ESSA is concerned, all of those different types of data domains is clearly what we can support for you today. And a reminder and a promise to, a lot of our success and frankly capability of being able to, provide you all of this comprehensive reporting is because of our system interoperable or system agnostic stance that we have taken as a company and as a business, because we know that each one of you has different requirements. Each one of you has made investments in, various different student information systems, ODSs, assessment systems. Some of you want interoperability with SSRS type reports, ODBC type reports, various different transportation systems for bus routes, program memberships, like I was talking about earlier. How you're pulling data from different sorts of agencies, right? Especially as we're thinking about the holistic view of a child. Some of you may want to pull in data from juvenile justice systems, foster systems, or other types of systems that have house student information. And so we want to make sure that that you understand and aware that our interoperable system agnostic platform is right here to support you. And even as you're seeing up above early childhood, right? We realize and we recognize that a lot of the early childhood systems are not really sophisticated right now. You don't need to worry about all of that, regardless of where your data sits. We are going to continue to make a continued investment in this interoperability, and a lot, in fact, of what we're doing in 2018 is making sure that we're focusing on ease of use. So not only with the pre-built connectors that you guys are already used to, but also building, system agnostic data loaders that is going to help further facilitate this process of pulling your data together from disparate systems. And finally, just to wrap this up in terms of, the context or the frame of reference that I wanted to provide, we also understand, again, as far as the interoperability is concerned, that many of you potentially could be already leveraging a third-party BI tool, that's helping you with, some ad hoc type reporting, and potentially maybe some allowing you to visualize data that you're not bringing into the data warehouse. So as we sit today, our platform allows you to embed any sort of third-party tools. So whether you're using Power BI, Tableau, MicroStrategy, Cognos, it doesn't matter what it is, you're able to embed specific reports that you build into the platform and make it broadly available to your audience. And then I'm going to talk about a really key enhancement that we're making that's going to further allow for ad hoc reporting natively within the Hoonuit application. All right. So with that, I'm going to jump into now giving you, like I mentioned, a little bit of a taste for the 4 different modules. And like I mentioned, all of you have some portions of this today. And our goal would be to help round out the portions that you don't, whether you want to do that right away, right now, or in the future, but just make you aware that, regardless of where your reporting needs are, whether you want a system that helps you track early warning and intervention, if you want a system or reporting suite that helps you track teacher effectiveness, staff qualifications, staff credentialing, finance, budget, expenditure, per pupil spending, or student success, right, with social emotional learning, college and career readiness. This is how we're moving forward, going to be packaging the different modules. And again, the key to this and the goal is to allow you to have a solution that is easily maintainable, gives you the flexibility as we put new features out to bring it into your suite, provide you the consistency, right? So over the last 6 months, I've had the fortune of talking to several of you. All of you have expressed the similar interest in leveraging potentially what another customer of ours has built. So you're not having to reinvent the wheel. And then that's one of the big reasons why we want to promote this consistency. So it makes it really easy for you to leverage what somebody else has done without having to build it from scratch. And of course, goes without saying, all of the usability and agility, right? So as we're making new enhancements, as we're putting out bug fixes, we want to make sure that you can take advantage of those things right out of the gate. And so packaging in these specific modules will get you guys closer to achieving all of these benefits that you see over here on the left. Okay, so now the exciting part of the presentation, and frankly, I could not be more thrilled with some of these enhancements. And everything that you're going to see for this first section is ready for you to take advantage of right away, right now. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right in. So with our commitment to innovation, the things that we're going to be really focused on in 2018, going into 2019 is one, a modern, responsive, actionable user experience. We know over the last, since we've been in business, basically, we've, thanks to feedback from you and insights from you and partnering with you, we already know that we have the most extensible and comprehensive data model that's out there. And now, we wanted to make sure that we're extending that same comprehensiveness to folks that are actually using the platform. This goes for both the end users, to your teachers, educators, superintendents, principals, district leadership, state leadership, etc., but also to the developers on your side that are going to be working on our platform. So a lot of that you will see today. Then our commitment to continuing to provide reporting, like the Every Student Succeeds Act reporting, or the SEL reporting, social emotional learning reporting, that we know is going to be required across the board, across all of our customers. So we want to productize those things so it's easier for you to implement, and continue investing in predictive modeling. So a point on predictive modeling that I wanted to make is the way we're thinking about and approaching everything that we're doing moving forward is from the lens of predictive and prescriptive. And what that really means is that we want you guys to do what you guys do best, which is make the impact in the classroom. What we want to do is not only give you the data and the insights, but we want to make sure that we're providing you a better lens into how to use the data so you don't have to work, right, to get the insights. So for example, with what you're going to see with early warning, college and career readiness, we wanted to use historic data in order to predict outcomes. What that allows us to do is put data in front of you and intelligence in front of you that allows you to potentially remedy things that are not a problem yet, but that we can foresee being a problem because the data is telling us that it's going to be a problem, right? And so we want to do more. We want you to be able to do more with the data that we're providing you to truly unlock that power to maximize student impact. Third piece, again, you will see a lot of themes around ease of use over here across the board. So we want to extend the self-service capabilities. We want you guys to be self-sufficient, again, from both ends of the spectrum. Your educators and the end users, your teachers in the classroom, intervention coordinates, and other folks who may be using the insights, as well as your developers who are interacting with our platform on a daily basis. And finally, I think I already made this point before, and we will continue to make this. Our success and yours, our success in being able to deliver success for you is going to be on interoperability, right? The more data we can connect for you, the more predictive we can do for you, the more prescriptive our analytics can be, the better success we're going to have jointly in terms of making an impact to student outcomes. And that's where our focus is going to be in 2018. So now we get to see some exciting new screenshots over here. These are screenshots that are directly taken from our platform. And so what I would highly encourage you guys to do is, hopefully all of this is exciting to you. And right when we get off the phone over here, please schedule time with your project managers and account managers to get a deep dive in terms of what all of these features look like. So you can start playing around with them and familiarize yourselves with them and hopefully start using them on a regular basis. So the first thing that I'm so excited to announce is a brand new, modern, responsive user experience. Kind of going back to what I was saying, we've made significant amount of investments over the last 12 months in bringing your dashboards and your reports to life by making it easier to use, more intuitive, building in data-driven workflows that don't require you to jump in and out of different reports and creates a natural transition between what you're looking at and what you should be doing next. Which gets to my next point about embedded action-oriented next steps. So we really want to focus on, again, the ease of use aspects of it. We know that you guys do a great job of already utilizing the reports. However, what we're going to be doing, or actually what we already have now in the platform is, along with each of the dashboards and the metrics, you will get embedded action-oriented next steps, which basically helps your teachers, your educators, and even principals, superintendents, anybody who's looking at the data. It provides them additional context on why is this piece of information important, what should I do with it, and what steps should I be taking next. So that's the embedded action-oriented next steps, and we're really excited because we think that this is going to immensely help further drive usage and adoption to maximize the value of these insights to impact student outcomes. And the new interface that you're seeing, mobilely responsive, allowing teachers to use this data in the classrooms, on the road, your district leadership, your superintendents, all of this is mobilely responsive, so you can use it on any device, anywhere, anytime, any place. And what you're seeing on this slide is included in your maintenance. So when you guys upgrade to V10, to our version 10 of the analytics, you will get all of these enhancements in terms of the user experience and the action embedded oriented next steps included right with your maintenance. All right, so then now the rest of the features that I show you are not included in your maintenance. These are new enhancements, new features that we've added to the platform. And your project managers and account managers will be more than happy to sit down, show you a demo, and then talk pricing with you as well. So this is the first one, as I mentioned, is enhanced reporting. So the first type of reporting, and this is just one snapshot. Again, you can get a deeper dive into all of these, but this is the Every Student Succeeds Act report card. So as all of you are aware, there has been clear requirements put out by the state and feds to create and publish annual report cards that include a wealth of data that's broken down by student ratio and economic subgroups. Among key elements, a description, for example, of states' accountability systems, definition of indicators, ranking methodology, where schools rank on the state's accountability system, and a breakdown, on different types of measures, right? So as you can see, just a few examples on the screen over here: graduation rates, attendance, ELA achievements, ELA progression, post-secondary information, per pupil spending, etc. All of this to make sure that we're providing that visibility, to the community, to the parents, as well as information, so that district leadership, school leadership can make important decisions about how they continue to impact and improve these outcomes. So you can see over here, what you will get is the district report cards and all the reports that go along with it. So not just the report card, but all the underlying reports as well. And then, all of the assessments, which is part of the requirements. As I mentioned, we're pulling in National Student Clearinghouse data for the post-secondary requirements, showing you ELL progression, chronic absences per state requirements, and then finance and allocation mechanisms, right? So you can do the per pupil spending. I should mention, because I get this question all the time, so I should mention that we understand every state has different requirements. And so with this enhancement, we will work with you on your state specific requirements in order to build out what your requirements are. So again, your project managers, account managers can sit down with you, and we can talk you through, all of the different reporting requirements that you guys have. I'm sure many of you are already familiar, and we'll work with you in order to create these reports. Okay, great. The second one is early warning and intervention. So as some of you may be aware, we were providing an early warning analytics solution to you before. The difference now is twofold. The first biggest difference is predictive analytics. So going back to what I was saying earlier, we're going to be able to use your historic data and your specific data, right? Not just saying that, okay, the national average of attendance is 95%, and benchmarking and baselining your schools based on that. So we're not talking about that, but we're actually talking about bringing in your school district specific data, and then using your data, be able to run predictive modeling to help us understand which students are at risk and what should your thresholds be, right? So for example, for your school and district, maybe it should not be at 96%, maybe it needs to be at 95% or 94%. And anybody below that may be at risk of dropping out, for example. So that's really the difference and the power of the predictive modeling, is making sure that we're making it specific to your school and district. On the other hand, you may have an attendance or a rate of 99%, right? So again, the 96% is not going to be accurate if that's the state average or the national average. So we want to be able to make sure that we're using your data specifically, and using that, be able to predict which students may be at risk of dropping out. The second really, really important fundamental piece of this is being able to administer interventions with fidelity. And what I love about what we have done over here, thanks to a lot of feedback that you guys have provided us, is that the capability of drilling down from figuring out which students are at risk, and right away from that view, being able to understand what factors are impacting those students and put those students in an intervention, all in one streamlined workflow. So, we understand from a lot of you with, different types of intervention systems potentially that you guys are using. that you may have your early warning reports, in one different system, and then your interventions in a completely different system. And just the sheer process of identifying which students require an intervention and putting those students in an intervention can be a daunting process. So we've streamlined all of that. And the third big piece is the mobily responsive user experience. It's probably the best applications for interventions, right? So you can not only implement the interventions with fidelity on a mobile device, but a teacher does not have to lug around a laptop and make the process awkward. So again, we're really excited about this. We have a few of you already taking advantage of this. I know the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, so thank you so much. And please continue to share that feedback so we can continue making enhancements in the platform. Okay, the third big development that I want to talk about is social emotional learning. So, as we're all aware, and I think I mentioned this earlier too, there are signs in addition to lack of attendance or disciplinary incidents that using the data that we're collecting from social emotional surveys can really help us get to the bottom of. I'm sure, I'm preaching to the choir over here when I'm talking about the potential of combining these results with academic outcomes, which basically will allow us to identify, again, which students may be at risk of dropping out and get them to persevere. And I know this concept that I'm talking about has been talked about for a very, very long time. However, there are very few, if any, tools out there that can effectively do this. They're all very, very cost prohibitive. So again, because of the overwhelming amount of feedback that we got from you guys, we wanted to make sure that we provide you a solution that you can use across the board with your schools and districts. And for the first time, I think what we're able to provide is a comprehensive platform that has three distinct components that are going to be extremely important as you think about how we might be able to use this data in order to maximize student outcomes. The first thing is we will now be able to provide you a platform to administer the surveys, to actually roll the surveys out to your kids. And I know in talking with several of you, you have mentioned that you already have your item banks, and that's completely fine. We can load those item banks into the survey platform. So we basically are partnering with SurveyMonkey to do that. And so, we can load all of your, basically all of your item banks of your surveys in there and provide you with a platform to actually administer these surveys and roll it out to all the kids. However, if there is a subset of you out there who doesn't have the item bank, we can get you started, and we already have an item bank of self-surveys that you can leverage in order to roll this out to your kids. The second big piece is once we actually roll the surveys out, of course, the advantage is to pull all of that data out and start analyzing the data. And what you will be able to do on our platform is not only analyze the data in a silo, but be able to correlate it with all of the other student performance metrics. And that we believe, has not been done effectively. And so we're really excited in order to be able to provide you that. Going back to the data domains that I was talking about, we have all of the comprehensive data domains that are out there. So as long as, you're bringing all of that data into the data warehouse, we can help you correlate which one of these constructs, whether it's academic mindset, grit, or academic perseverance, learning strategies, social skills, etc., which ones of these have the highest correlations with the students' actual academic outcomes. And the third big piece is aligning outcomes-based professional development. So again, in talking with several of you, I think you've, thank you for explaining the fact that, the CEL curriculum is loosely structured, if at all, in districts, right? And it just hasn't been a part of the school orientation, or in a lot of the school's orientation. And so what we basically have, and again, several of you may already be aware, the second arm of our business actually is a professional development learning platform. And so what we're able to do is we already have a comprehensive set of courses that we have built in conjunction with subject matter experts that focus on these areas. And we have about 60 courses that are already built right now, specifically focusing on CEL. And so if you're worried about, like I've heard concerns from a number of you that I've spoken to, if you're worried about, it's great that we're able to administer these surveys and bring the data and correlate the data. But when I put this data in front of my third grade teacher, how can we expect her, or what should we expect of her in terms of making sense of that data? Now we have aligned professional development that will allow you, again, to maximize usage, adoption, and impact of this data by providing them aligned professional development. And, these courses, again, like I said, we've worked with subject matter experts to build these courses. However, if you want to customize these courses, because you have developed that discipline in-house, you can do that on our platform. You can load your own PD in as well, and your teachers will be able to utilize this PD in conjunction with, of course, leveraging all of the data as they're trying to make the decisions on a day in and day out basis. So that is all that you have, like I said, ready to go. What's included in your maintenance is the new user experience. Everything else that I talked about, it's going to be a payment component associated with that, and you can get with your account managers and project managers. They'd be more than happy to talk with you in detail what the implementation process would look like, what the features are, give you guys a demo of it. I'd be more than happy to talk with you, if you guys have thoughts and feedback, and then we can get that going. So, of course, like I said, we have a commitment to innovation that we want to continue pushing the envelope in terms of what we're providing you. And again, I cannot thank you guys enough for being a good sounding board and providing us feedback in terms of where we should focus on. So everything I'm going to show you in this next section is work already that's underway, and you will slowly start seeing these rolling out over the next 3 months. Some of these may be as soon as, next week, because we follow an iterative development process. And then some of these features may be towards the end of May or June. But all of this is in the works right now. And actually for a lot of these features that I'm going to talk about, like I said, because it's already in development, we may be able to give you a demo of certain components of this, even though it's not completely built out. So the first one that I'm super, super excited about is our powerful ad hoc reporting. So again, I'm sure, even though I cannot see you, I'm sure a lot of you are smiling, especially in conversations that you even had as recently as last week and the week before. So what this is going to allow you to do is drag and drop any metrics to create powerful visualizations. So you guys may be familiar with our Power Grid feature, and I know Power Grid feature was limited to only certain specific data domains. This is basically giving you guys keys to the kingdom. So we're going to be exposing the entire data model through the platform, through the ad hoc reporting tool. As you can see over here, you will be able to basically slice and dice any metrics that you want to, get answers to your questions immediately. So no longer do you have to wait for a developer on your side or somebody on our side to build these reports for you. If you just have a quick question, you can slice and dice the metrics and create your reports, create your own visualizations. And the great thing about this is this satisfies needs across both sides of the spectrum. Your educators, teachers, principals, superintendents, district leadership, who may not want to dig into the code and write SQL, will be able to slice and dice these on the fly really quickly, really easily, no coding skills required. And then your developers who are doing some more comprehensive reporting, if they want to change the underlying data model, if they want to change the underlying joins, relationships, do some other high cardinality joins that we don't currently have or we haven't built specifically for you in the part of the solution that you're utilizing, they will be able to do that themselves, publish those reports into the application like you're seeing over here. This is actually one published report. Publish a report into the application, and anybody who has access to the data will be able to see it. I should say that there's a lot of work that we're doing behind the scenes in terms of, applying the same row level security requirements that we have across the rest of the platform. And that's the work that we're doing over the next few weeks over here. But again, this is something that if you guys want a demo of, we can show it to you right away. So please schedule time with your project managers. We're super excited about this. And for this specific feature, we have partnered with Microsoft, and we're using Power BI. That said, so a few points on that. One is, if you are already leveraging a third-party platform, regardless if it's Power BI, Tableau, or something else, you can, of course, utilize this in conjunction with that, and or if you're paying heavy licensing fees for some of those other tools, this potentially can help you eliminate some of those costs. And not to be confused with the statement I made originally on one of the first slides, is that we are still, even though we're leveraging Power BI for ad hoc reporting, and frankly, if I never told you that it's Power BI, you would not know that, because it just feels like it's like any other part of our platform. If you have specific reports that you want to continue to embed from Tableau or Cognos or whatever business objects or MicroStrategy, you can continue doing that on the platform. The difference over here is that through this interface, we're going to allow you to expose the entire data model, so you can slice and dice your own metrics. And if you're embedding any of those other BI tool reports, then you're only going to be able to embed those specific reports and not actually create the reports within the platform. So hopefully that makes sense. So really excited about that. And I know this has been a widely awaited feature. And so, like I said, we're already in development. You can see demos of this right now and coming to you really, really soon. Okay, the next big enhancement is college and career readiness. So again, going back to what we did with early warning, same thing with college and career readiness. You had static operational measures before. Now what you will have is predictives, right? So again, using historic data to be able to predict using machine learning models and statistical modeling various outcomes. So there are 4 really specific outcomes that we are predicting with the college and career readiness module. The first one is entrance exam readiness. So this could be your SATs, ACTs, or whatever else that's applicable. Going to be able to predict that. Second is college enrollment. Third is college persistence, and fourth is college completion. So again, we want to make sure that all the way from pre-K, early learning capabilities, all the way through when a kid actually graduates from school, you want to make sure that they have the right skills to persevere when they go to college and then in their career, right? And so even though a kid may not be at risk of dropping out, they may not actually be ready for college. And that's why one of the big things I wanted to talk about with this is that we look at early warning and college and career readiness as being a continuum, right? Exactly because of what I just said, which I'll say again, which is, just because a kid is not at risk doesn't necessarily mean they have the skill set in order to persevere in their college or career. So utilizing early warning and college and career hand in hand gives you this comprehensive view of which kids are at risk and may not be ready. Of course, those are the ones we want to address right out of the gate. Which are the kids who may be at risk of dropping out, but are college ready, right? So they're at risk, but they're looking okay for college and career. They may have some issues, but are probably testing very high, right? So you want to, again, understand what that cohort is. Third is no risk, right? You know that they're doing really well in school and they're demonstrating all signs to be ready for college and career, which is great. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're not just giving them diplomas, we're giving them more rigorous coursework. And then finally, low risk of low risk of dropping out, and they're ready for the college and career. So this is a continuum that we look at. And one of the things that we basically came to when I was talking about the predictives is, there's a lot of math and science that goes into this, of course, as you can imagine. And there are lots of key considerations, right? The key considerations around precision and accuracy, because of course you're using data in order to predict what the future can be. And just like anything else that you're trying to predict, we want to make sure that the models that we're using basically allow us to classify students correctly, right? You don't want to overclassify and you don't want to underclassify. What I mean by that is we want to make sure that we're not overclassifying kids who may not be at risk into the risk bucket, because we know it takes resources, right, in order to implement interventions. And at the same time, we want to be really careful that we don't miss a kid, right? Because that is going to be very detrimental to their success. And so the algorithms that we developed, there's a lot of research that goes into that to make sure that it's the right precision, right level of accuracy. We're using the broadest scope of data. And of course, given what I just said about how comprehensive our data model is, we're probably one of the only ones that can actually use this broadest scope of data, bring in all sorts of different kinds of data sets, right? Early childhood data sets, post-secondary data, all different types of data sets, social emotional learning, all of the assessment data, all the data from the National Student Clearinghouse. in order to make sure that, we're utilizing all of the right insights that we have to understand what those factors may be. And then frequency of updates. How frequently are those updates applied to the models and performance, right? We want to make sure that the algorithm runs pretty efficiently. So we put in a lot of key considerations as we've developed our predictive modeling in order to make sure that we're providing you the absolute best solution that's out there in the market. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you are armed with all the best possibilities to maximize student impact. All right, last but not least, the other enhancement that we've made, again, in conjunction with working with some of our very close key customers, is our school improvement planning process. So what is really awesome about this is, and I'm sure you guys will be able to relate, probably even better than I can, given the roles that you guys are playing, is all of you are putting together Title I planning, safe and healthy plans, SPED plans, so special education planning, technology training, and pretty much anything that you can think of that you're putting together an improvement plan for. And one of the biggest challenges that we've heard from our customers is that a lot of these plans are on pen and paper. They're not accurately documented. You may be utilizing some of the data from our platform in order to create these. However, it's all in isolation. Then you put together the plans, and then you review them 6 months from now. You may not even remember why was it that we put this plan together, right? What was the data that we were looking at? Why did we decide that these are the our action plans that we want to create? And then how are the plans actually performing, right? There has not been a good way in order to address those issues that I talked about. So again, we want to focus on providing you not only the right reporting and the analytics insights, but also the right data-driven processes. So this school improvement plan is one of those. So what you will be able to do is you will be able to build a school improvement plan that allows you to digitize and capture what the plan is. As you can see over here, you can take snapshots right from the data and the dashboards that you guys are looking at within the platform. You will be able to snap those, add those to your improvement plan, which is a part of the platform. So you know exactly why you decided or came to the hypothesis that you did. Then you can create your action plans in terms of, like, for example, if you have plans around technology training or special education or whatever it may be, put together your action plan in terms of what areas need improvement, document those in the platform right here as you're seeing on the screen, and then you can use this to reference back and track progress against those plans, right? You will also be able to really quickly, because all of it is streamlined now and standardized in one place and is digitized. Even if your hypothesis was wrong, hopefully you're not finding that out in 6 months. Using the data and using the platform, you'll be able to make those changes right away and make the best use of investments and funds that you're getting. So, so we can actually see improvements with student outcomes. So we're very excited about that. And I should mention, again, one of the things that it probably is becoming a theme right now, and we absolutely want it to be, is the configurability, right? Interoperability and configurability. We understand one size absolutely does not fit all as far as the space is concerned. And so all of these fields that you're seeing over here, you will be able to customize. So for example, if there's another set of questions that you want to answer that has another set of responses, or that has different types of inputs that you guys need, you will be able to configure these forms to exactly what your plan is. So if you're doing the school improvement the plan for student achievement in California, or you're putting together a specific Title I plan and you're in the state of Wisconsin, whatever that may be, you'll be able to customize and configure these screens to look exactly like how you want it to be. So again, very excited about this, and hopefully this is something that all of you can take advantage of right out of the gate, get rid of all of those pieces of paper that you're using, streamline the process, and start seeing improvements, and hopefully start seeing impact the investments that you're making as a result of putting these plans together. All right, finally, the last big piece that we wanted to talk about, that I mentioned a little bit with the social emotional survey piece that I talked about, and the solution that we're providing, is integrated aligned professional learning. So again, going back to what I was saying, we've heard feedback from a lot of you wherein, it's of course putting the data in the hands of the educators and anybody who can make an impact, and the district leadership is great, right? Because if you don't have the data, anything that's not measured is not going to get managed. And so step number one is put the data out there so people can start answering questions and frankly start asking questions, right? And hopefully start asking the right types of questions that can help us, get to the bottom of specific issues that we're seeing with kids at school and maximize their outcomes. However, what we've heard really loud and clear is that, we need a process in order to integrate and align professional learning with the analytics so we can drive usage and adoption, right? And I know several of you have initiatives right now and potentially have had these initiatives for a while around developing and driving a data-driven culture. And the best way for you to be able to do that is not only put the data and the insights in the hands of your teachers and educators, but then right then and there. Again, interoperable, streamlined workflow. Not talking about jump out of your analytics platform into a different solution here, but as you're seeing on the screen, right then and there within the platform, side by side with your analytics, provide professional development that teachers can use. So we're leveraging all of the expertise and that we have developed over the last 20 years on our professional development side of the business. We work with subject matter experts. We have a library of over 5,000 courses that are curated as a result of tons of research that is done by these experts, subject matter experts, to put the content in place. And what's great about it is, we follow the understanding by design learning framework. And what that forces is not only that, a teacher or an educator looks at the platform and, listens to the course, but it also allows you to demonstrate and prove that you've actually learned what the course was asking you to do, right? And so we have specific modules where the teachers can either take an assessment or do an observation. And then, of course, hopefully that allows us to, and that allows you guys to see, again, analytics around, who's actually viewing the professional development and learning, and then hopefully correlating even that to the impact that they're able to make, as a result of using these analytics and insights. The last piece I'll say about it is, again, we're of course all about ease of use, streamlining the experience, providing an interoperable experience, but at the same time, again, understanding one size does not fit all. So even though we've developed this library, comprehensive library of 5,000 courses, we understand that, there may be pieces or parts of it that you may want to configure or customize and make it specific to your district initiative. So these are all constructed in bite-sized modules. So for example, if we have 59 courses on social emotional learning, each of those courses, individual courses, may be broken out into, 10, 15 different videos. Each video may be 2 or 3 minutes long. And so let's say that you like, 80% of it, but then the other 20% you need to customize specific to your school or district needs. You can basically utilize the tools on our platform to extend that content, create the 20% that you want to, and provide that as a full professional development learning module right in the platform. So we're really excited about this. Again, we've received great feedback on this, and again, this is one of the pieces that we're working on, and shortly should be coming to you before we wrap up Q2 over here. All right, with that, hopefully, I know this was a lot of content in a very short period of time. We're very excited to give you a hands-on demonstration of all of these features so you can familiarize yourselves with it. You can plan your upgrade process to V10, and you can, depending upon the initiatives that you have, we'd be happy to work with you in terms of aligning which ones of these additional modules would make sense for you to tap into. So please set up time with your project managers to walk you through these enhancements in detail and explore areas that can help with the initiatives that you're trying to push forward here in, this before you wrap up this school year, and of course put it in place for the next school year. So with that, Andrea, I'll turn it over to you. Any questions? Did we receive any questions or feedback from the audience that we would like to address?
Yeah, thanks, Giovanni. We did receive several questions. Most of them are very detailed. If you do have additional questions, feel free to chat those in, and we're going to follow up with an FAQ document with detailed answers to make sure that we cover all of the detail. And we'll also share the specific questions you asked with your services team member so they can bring those into the next conversation that you have with them. I hope you are all as excited as we are about our transformed look and feel, our new design, and just the expanded capabilities to make supporting your initiatives even more powerful. Big thanks to Shivani for all the work and the presentation today. As I mentioned earlier, your services team members are available to schedule a deep dive with you to explore both your upgrade path as well as explore how you can bring some of these new capabilities into your implementation and help progress your district or agency's initiatives. You're welcome to reach out directly through the channels that you do today. We'll also be sending out a follow-up communication following today's presentation with a sign-up form for you to schedule your deep dive if you'd prefer to do it that way. Additionally, we do want to continue this presentation into a series to give you these types of updates throughout the year on a quarterly cadence. So definitely be on the lookout for future invitations. And we welcome your feedback just in terms of sort of the speed and the amount of detail that we were able to get into. We certainly want to make this time meaningful for all of you. So Shivani, I don't know if there's any specific questions that you would want to address. I think we can cover most of those in the FAQ document.
That sounds great, Andrea. And I just want to reemphasize, of course, over the last 6 months that I've been here, I definitely have had the fortune of meeting some of you, not all of you, and I'm eagerly looking forward to doing that. And as you heard me, the way we are approaching building our roadmap, and I know we've always done this here, is very much including your insights, your feedback. We want you guys to have a say in the direction that we're taking, right? What we're doing is for you. What we're doing is so collectively you and us can partner on making those impacts that we want to make to transform kids' lives. And we know we cannot do that in isolation. So again, I would absolutely appreciate the opportunity of meeting with you guys in person and my team and I working with you closely. If you have specific feedback on any of the modules, once you get a deeper dive or even moving forward, right? There are a ton of different initiatives that we're working on, continuing to work on in 2018 into 2019, and would really love to partner with you guys if if any of these are on your radar, or even to learn what's on your radar moving forward, and continue that path forward. So again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to working with all of you. Andrea, did you want to just wrap up?
Thank you all for your time this afternoon. We hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and be on the lookout for a follow-up communication from us with the FAQ, the recording, and details on how you can schedule your deep dive. Thank you.
Thank you so much.